Yung, yung taga Mindanao, yun, yung isa sa mga 7 billion cumulative revenue nila, yung matanda, soda, ano ba yun? Imagine mo, she's been doing the importation for the last 3 decades. Tapos, during the investigation, it was revealed na malaking wholesaler siya. Okay? And worse, she's also one of the biggest retailer. So, kontrolado nilang the whole supply chain. So, this is what is happening. This is a new phenomenon. And of course, they took advantage of the lowering of tariff by 20%. So, hindi talaga maiwasan na at some point may itatago talaga sila na dagdag na nakita nila when the tariffs were reduced. So ganun ang nangyari dito when we started the investigation.
Mr.
Okay, thank you.
Chair.
Yes, Madam President, you're acknowledged.
Yeah, you were talking about the Mindanao, whatever is the role of this Mindanao rice person. Are you talking about Barnuevo?
No, Madam President, it was a different company.
Because I was just, but she's a Mindanao trader, and this morning, Congressman Salceda just said she's one of the better ones. So I'm glad that she's not the one you're talking about. Thank you.
You wanted to add, yes, admin.
I think from what I recall, Barnuevo is soda trade. Ayun yung, siya yung may-ari, si Mrs. Barnuevo.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
So the trade, siya din yung may-ari.
No, is she the one that we are referring to? That
If this is one and the same, we could
that
probably
is manipulating. That's what I want to know.
we could look into the records if this is the same.
The records say.
Can we look at the records of the importers if this is one and the same?
It's an importer. But what is being claimed here is that there is a Mindanao importer who's also a wholesaler, who's also a retailer. Ergo, you cannot avoid the conclusion that this Mindanao trader is guilty. So I just want to check whether it is indeed Mrs. Barnuevo, whom Congressman said earlier, but not in the session, not in the hearing, is one of the better ones.
Comsec, could you check the records of the resource persons of the large wholesalers?
Actually, Mr. Chair, yung result ng ating hearings since last week, since we invited the importers here, soda trade is only one of those who are engaged directly from importation to wholesaling and actual retail. Marami pa sila, ma'am, former President GMA, ang nag-admit dito that not only that soda trade, but other players in Bulacan and other parts of the Philippines admitted to the committee that they're also engaged in wholesaling and actual retail.
Here, because you mentioned Mindanao trader.
No, it's more than that, Madam President. We've also discussed during the last Quinta Committee that some of these large importers, wholesalers, traders have a monopoly until, I think, almost until the retail. So they have a monopoly in that supply chain. And I think there is an allegation that they are also the creditors to some of our farmers for the contract growing. Well, I'm not so sure who was able to give that allegation, or they were able to deduce that they could also act as creditors somewhere within the whole supply chain. Anyway,
A very important point, Mr. Chair, because we may be putting our blame on the wrong party, and how will we solve this problem, especially in the immediate run? Are we going to raid the importers also? Is that going to solve our problem before New Year? Right now, our problem is solving it before New Year. If we put the blame on the wrong parties, then we will go farther away from the solution. And I'm telling you this as someone who's been there, done that.
thank you, Madam President. Okay, I think it would be good for us to get back to the topic that Congressman Garin is asking NFA with regards to the selling of how much Yeah, their inventory by December and January, so that we will be able to stabilize the rice prices amid the assumed demand during this holiday season. On record, what could NFA actually commit to the committee, especially to those who, I think during that meeting you said that you wanted to correct the records that you were able to dispose of. What could you commit to the committee that we will be able to sell to the Kadiwa farms this December and January before the harvest season?
Mr. Chair, yung kaya nating i-commit ngayon immediately ay 106,824 bags. Then by next month, January, meron tayong mga 308,539 bags. Lahat po ng ating aging stocks, we can commit, wala pong problema sa presyo na 29. In fact, we will be really happy na ma-dispose po ito. Kung meron lang akong legal cover to dispose kahit yung bagong giling, i-dispose ko po. Just to give a perspective. Kulang po kaming ng 300 million.
Administrator, I don't know what definition do you wish to understand right now that this is an emergency. No, we are not in a situation of calamity, but the situation is we have to arrest the rising cost of rice. So, I understand where you're coming from. You need a legal cover, no? Kasi may limitation nga yung batas. So,
Mr. Chair,
kailangan, sabi ko nga kanina, the Secretary of Agriculture will not take it against you. If we decide, should NFA decide at this point? Kasi sabi ko nga kanina yung sitwasyon ngayon requires a very serious interventional approach. Kailangan operahan na It should be surgical right now. So yun yung tinatanong ni Congresswoman Garin kanina, because initially, you had committed that for the month of December, 25 million kilos could be accommodated by NFA. Yun pala, ang 25 million na to is graduated, meaning 108,000 bags muna, 380 sa susunod na buwan, etc. Just to adhere to the definition of aging rice. Pero may legal cover naman tayo We are in a state of public emergency na kailangan natin i-arrest talaga because of profiteering na kasi nangyayari ngayon sa presyo ng bigas Yes, Yusek Asis.
Yes,
Mr. Chair, before that, Mr. Chair, I just have one query through the chair. When is the point of reckoning? After na giniling, or pwede ba ang point of reckoning is yung pagbili ng palay, pag-deliver ng palay? What is there in the law? Because if the law is silent on that, then you cannot insist on a point of reckoning that is based on the milling date.
After me.
NFA?
What is the legal definition of an aging rice? Meron ba?
Sa ngayon po, sa bagong RTL, meron na talaga very clear. 3 months pag bigas, 6 months for palay. That's the definition. And then sa bagong RTL nga...
Yeah, Mr. Chair, sorry this is the new law signed last week or 2 weeks ago. Diba? But when this is still applicable next year. Right? Yeah, so what applies now? Because there's no clear definition yet.
Ang reckoning po ng pagbilang nung pag umabot ng 3 months ay yung from the date of milling.
Where is that in the provision, Mr. Chair? Can you point that in the law? Nasa batas ba siya?
Titingnan po namin, but nung dumating po ako sa NFA, yan na po yung definition nila sa ahensya and nasa standard operating procedure. We will check on the law itself kung ano po